Hello, operator. Can you give me number 9? I'll see you later. Can you give me back my dime? Tell me oscillator. Twisty with the dollar bill.
Yo, what's up, fantasy basketball owners? We're coming to you from the Sirius XM radio studios with a little Dr. J flavor. We're going to serve up our fantasy basketball 5-on-5. That's where we bring you our 5 high risers and our 5 players in fantasy foul trouble. And in the RotoExperts.com backcourt with me is Nabate Isles. What's up, Nabate?
Oh, everything's well. How you doing, Michael? You doing good?
Oh, pretty good, man.
That's
I love that.
nice.
Dr. J, shout out, man. That's a living legend. Too bad we can't draft him, man. He could probably still strap him out and play well.
That's true. He'll definitely toast these youngsters now, you know?
Yeah, speaking of some youngsters, though, we've had some very hot players come out of the gate in the NBA. We saw Rajon Rondo and Paul Gasol win Conference Players of the Week. But here on the Fantasy 5-on-5, we're looking for some players that stock is actually rising. Maybe you can still get them. Maybe you can buy low on them, whatnot. So, Nabate, who are some players that you feel stock is just off the charts to start the NBA season?
Off the charts, DJ Augustin, Charlotte Bobcats, 3 games. He's averaging over 40 minutes a game. He is the true starting point guard. And I talked about Sean Livingston and as a sleeper, but DJ Augustin so far has really maintained great value. And he was undrafted in some leagues. 17 points a game, 5.3 assists, and 2.7 3-pointers a game. You rarely get a point guard that can get you 2 threes a game, and Augustin has always had that outside ability, especially in his rookie season when he had a 2-month run, which was incredible. So DJ Augustin, look out for him. And another high riser, I have a high riser to potential first-round status by the end of the season, Rudy Gay of the Memphis Grizzlies. He has been arguably the best fantasy player so far. He's averaging 24 points a game, 7 boards, 3 assists, 2.3 steals, and also shooting, also hitting a 3.5 a game as well. So Rudy Gay is somebody that's really progressed, especially from his time with the USA basketball team, and after signing that huge contract, he has not regressed. He has worked. He's actually worked harder, and he's really developed his game. So Rudy Gay could be a potential first rounder for next season.
Yeah, we saw Rudy Gay play real well last night against the Lakers, despite Memphis' trouble against the Lakers as a whole.
Dropped 30 points.
Yeah. So speaking of number 1 players, though, Rudy Gay, as of this morning, was the number 1 fantasy basketball player. But going into last night was Russell Westbrook was the number 1 fantasy basketball player. And now with Russell Westbrook, he's going to get you the assists near the Jason Kidd, maybe Rondo, not quite as high, but he has the ability to score a lot more than Rondo and Kidd. So he's somebody that has a lot of value going forward. Also, expect his assists to go up, because I don't see Jeff Green or Kevin Durant shooting 13 for 35 as they did against Utah again. And another guy that stock is rising, and we talked about him in our fantasy point guard preview video, was Mike Conley. And here's one indication that his stock is rising. The team gave him a 5-year extension.
That's right, 5-year.
Yeah, so that's something that's intangible, may not translate on the fantasy stat sheet, but any guy that has the confidence from his team and opportunity, you're more than likely going to end up on the RotoExperts.com high riser list.
And offensive weapons like Rudy Gay, OJ Mayo, Marc Gasol, and Zach Randolph.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Conley's performing without Zach Randolph in the lineup, so there's another piece of the puzzle. Yeah, that'll up the assists. And just last night, Conley went for 16 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and the key is he had 3 steals. So MC, keep bringing them steals to us fantasy basketball owners. Yeah, and I got one more. He was another sleeper on one of our videos, and I got him in as the last pick in a couple of drafts. I don't know if a lot of people were scared because of Corey Maggette, but it's Carlos Delfino. Going into last night's game, he averaged 4 made 3-pointers a game.
Mad Bomber. That's what I call him.
Yeah, and hey, you gotta appreciate anybody that wears their socks up high.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You know he's got game. But he's more than a 3-point shooter. Even though he went 3 for 5 last night from downtown, he also is has averaging 5 rebounds, and is another guy that's doing well in the defensive end. He's all over the place, and he had 2 steals last night as well.
And it's always good to have someone that can get you boards and threes, you know,
and play deep.
Right. That's the thing. So he's all over the place, you know.
Yeah. Now, Nabate, who are some players that are whose ceiling's falling faster than Madison Square Garden ceiling?
Oh boy! And speaking of Madison Square Garden and that ceiling, Danilo Gallinari, huge disappointment so far. He's having wrist trouble, and I think that's definitely had some effect. But it's a mental thing with him as well, knowing that he's not been able to be effective. Gallinari, 6 points, 3 rebounds a game, shooting 21% from the field, and only 2 3-pointers in the first 3 games. And I mean, Gallinari will get out of his funk, but we don't know how long it'll take, especially if Wilson Chandler is continuing to play well off the bench and taking Gallinari's minutes. You never know, you know. But Gallo, I think maybe they may have to sit him for a week or 2 just to have him rest his wrists and make sure everything is all right, and also give him a mental break for him to make progression as the season goes on. But he's regressed very, very badly so far.
Yeah, anytime you add new players to a team, there's some chemistry, and plus he's so one-dimensional in shooting, so the wrist injury is definitely going to play effect. So.
But that's the thing. He can get to the basket. He just it's just that I think he needs to be more aggressive. Last year he showed some aggression, but I think the wrist injury with that, I think that's kind of tempered that a little bit. And some more players. I have Austin Day, guy that was in a lot of late rounds for your draft because he had an excellent preseason, all-around preseason, and he was named the starting power forward for the Detroit Pistons. But his first 3 games were very forgettable. He did have a very good game last night. He had 14 points and 5 rebounds. 16 points and 5 rebounds. But Day has to bring it forward because he's on a short leash. Because Charlie Villanueva is someone that's nipping at the heels to get that starting position back. And remember, they paid Villanueva a lot of moolah last year. So, he's looking to get that starting position. So Austin Day has to have more solid games like he did last night. But if he doesn't, which, he's still young, still inexperienced, I see him being back on the bench, and that, his value will go down from there. And another guy I have, Darren Collison. He's a guy that went in the first 4 rounds in some drafts, and he has been very disappointing. And TJ Ford, the last game, TJ Ford played 22 minutes.
Came in the fourth quarter.
And came in the fourth quarter. And that's the thing with Jim O'Brien. Jim O'Brien already does not like the way Collison plays defense. He doesn't like his effort on defense. So when a coach doesn't like what you do on the court, and that means minutes will go down. And that means when minutes go down, stats go down for your fantasy team. So Darren Collison, I mean, he's been very inconsistent, but, look for him to bounce back. But, I think as the season goes on, especially if Indiana, they're a bad team, if Jim O'Brien gets fired, definitely Collison will get those minutes again no matter what he does.
Yeah, and Ford's injury prone, so although Collison's in fantasy foul trouble right now, he's still got some time to get out of there, as opposed to Austin Day. It's kind of a tough, and it's a tough situation in Detroit all around. I was going to go with Drew Holiday as one of my fantasy players in foul trouble, but he had a big game, at least offensively last night. Didn't play too much defense on John Wall.
John Wall was amazing. A triple-double almost last night. Wow.
Yeah, hopefully a high-five Drew Holiday. But Holiday played well, so maybe he'll come up on it. But the guy that I'm not happy with is James Harden. The guy's averaging around 18 minutes a game, only about 5 points. And what's even worse is he 1 for 12 from the field in the last 2 games and 0 for 6 from downtown. So this guy that's supposed to be the offensive spark plug off the bench, he couldn't start a car.
That's the problem with James Harden. I've noticed that he's having trouble since he's been in the league, trouble creating his own shot. And he has a very nice mid-range game, but I don't think his ball handling ability for being able to create a shot is really there yet. And the lack of quickness, he's not as quick. As a 2-guard, you got to be very quick off the dribble. You have to have quick feet. And Harden, I haven't seen that yet. So I don't know if he's going to be much of a 6-man, for the rest of his career, and I don't think he's going to be a major fantasy guy.
No, he'll be too up and down. And another guy that's going to be up and down is Hedo Turkoglu. Some people, including myself, thought he could be a sleeper, but I was going to put him on the fantasy foul trouble list, but because he's been in foul trouble. He had 5 fouls the first 3 games. But so hopefully that's something that maybe he can change and perform a little better. But a guy I'm more disappointed with is Shannon Fry. Shannon Fry, his minutes have gone down. He's been known as a 3-point shooter, but he's only 3 for 11 at 23%. So what you drafted him for, he's not providing, and I don't see much more from him coming in the future as Robin Lopez's minutes continue to increase.
Yeah, and he's the definition of one-dimensional, Shannon Fry. And when you're 6'10" and you camp outside the 3-point line and you don't have much of a post game or a driving ability to the basket, it's
or get 0 offensive rebounds in 3 games.
Right? Oh, that's terrible. Especially when you're the tallest guy in your team, other than Robin Lopez. It's absolutely horrible.
Yeah. So that's our fantasy 5-on-5 this week. Our 5 high risers, our 5 fantasy foul trouble. Check back with us on Friday. I'll have a special guest, the T-Pain of the RotoExperts staff. Also check out our Sunday 10 o'clock blog talk show. It's our Fantasy Fix Hoops edition as we kick off our fantasy basketball shows on Blog Talk Radio. As well, check out RotoExperts.com and get your in-season basketball content. We'll see you on Friday.